that I thought I would talk about different topics. And one of the topics that I think would be so helpful for anyone who is in the situation of telling themselves that I want to leave, like the humanitarian world. And then, like 7 years pass, 10 years pass, and still being in that place. And for those of my dear humanitarians, I wanted to um, elaborate this concept that I observe a lot, and I want to help you go and transition from one situation where you keep telling yourself that you want to leave and you never do, to the other one where you decide what to do with that. So I've noticed that I like talking to so many humanitarians lately about this comfort zone. And a lot of people tell me that, well, it's just a comfort zone. I'm in the comfort zone. And then once we start uncovering what that actually means, we realize that it's actually not really a comfort zone. And we just call the comfort zone the place where we have like one or two elements in place and we just call it a comfort zone. Like we have a contract, we have a structured place to go to, and we are familiar with the environment where we work, but everything else in there is not comfortable, right? So it's like being in a uncomfortable comfort zone. So if you can relate to this, I really want to help you understand and think about, like, there seems to be this comfort zone, uncomfortable comfort zone, and there is comfortable comfort zone. And I really want you to understand how you can actually get from uncomfortable comfort zone to the comfortable comfort zone. Because if we are not really choosing to leave the place, not choosing to leave the humanitarian world for whatever reason, then why continue being in this uncomfortable position, right? Why keep ourselves in this uncomfortable position when we actually could go to the comfort zone and being very comfortable about it? So that's why I really want you to think about how uncomfortable comfort zone looks like. And I will describe one of my clients' story so that you can see in the visualization of it how that is. So he was telling me that the way that he is looking at things is that he has to go to camp for like driving 2 hours every morning, early morning, and then like roads are very difficult to go through, and people drive crazy. So he goes there. He didn't really sleep well. He's been going there every day, like nonstop, really, until his next R&R, and he goes to this camp and he has to solve lots of problems of people who are suffering with his team. But at the same time, lots of other people keep calling him for asking for information about this, asking information about that. And then he needs to be everywhere, but also not really everywhere because his attention is so divided in so many different directions. He needs to then cover for some of his colleagues because he doesn't really trust all of his colleagues, and he feels like he needs to be on top of his game, but at the same time keeps questioning whether it's all worth doing this, whether this is really how things need to be done. And then he realized that he doesn't really have for those type of questions, and then he goes back and then dives in, and then in the evening he returns home very late. And then he comes home and he doesn't have time to talk to his family because his family's time zone is different. He can't really be talking to his children. So, and then the next morning the cycle goes again, and then this is how it continues and continues every day. And then thinking about work. Even throughout the weekend, because he feels like he needs to be in control, in charge of all the things. And as soon as he feels like if he's not in charge of and he's not thinking about all of this all the time, then he feels like something is going to go wrong, and then he will be responsible for, and then he will look bad. So this is description of, I think, uncomfortable comfort zone. So this is where I feel like many of our humanitarians are in the situation, especially keep asking the fundamental question of, is it worth it? Do I really want to stay here? I If I had other options, I wouldn't. This is not the way that I remember how things used to be, and all of these things, right? So this is very uncomfortable. It's very worrying, and a lot of the times we feel like we don't really want to stay, but we have to, kind of a situation. Now, if you see this, the comfortable part here, according to these clients, is the part that they know that they can do this work. They know that they have been doing this for so long. They have a contract, and they have some kind of a stability from that sense, right? Now, what is available to us, even in those situations, is the comfortable comfort zone. And I think many of us are like really not considering that, because they feel like if they just accept the situation, if they just settle in, they will never leave, right? This is like their understanding or perception of the situation. But think about it, no matter whether you accept your situation now or not, or no matter whether you are settling in now, if you really want to, you can leave anytime. So just because you decided to accept it, or just because you decided to settle in now for now, being present in that place, it doesn't mean that you will never leave. So I think it's an illusion that we create for ourselves, that if we keep fighting internally, if we keep resisting internally, then we will leave eventually. But why do that? So that's why I really want you to consider an alternative of being in a comfortable comfort zone. If we are already in the comfort zone, then the way that it could look like is you decide for yourself that you deciding to stay here for this period of time, whatever the period you choose for yourself. And then in that period, you're not going to be asking the fundamental questions of keep like vacillating. Do I leave? Do I not leave? I wish I could leave. Don't do any of those like stories, and just drop them, because you told yourself that this is the time you will give yourself, and then you will make a decision, right? So until then, don't keep vacillating back and forth, but just being present in where you are, and then remove all of this resistance, all of this fightings, all of this conflicts within you. Because whenever we keep having this resistance and conflicts within us, we're basically telling ourselves that yes, we wish we weren't here, but we are, and we keep putting ourselves in this powerless situation. And that's what actually keeps creating this exhaustion. That's what keep creating this feeling of always being tired. And another reason why we keep being tired is because we're wanting to be in charge and in control all the time. But we know that we can't really control other people's behavior. So that's why we really need to then release this control seeking part of ourselves, and then say, I want to trust that they will do their best, I will do my best, and I will do these things in the hours that I have, and then I will go and rest afterwards as well. Right? So, first deciding that you give yourself this amount of time, and in that amount, you will be present, you will stay, and remove all of the vacillating, debates about whether to or whatever. You remove all of that, you don't think about that. And then you remove the resistance, the conflicts within you, and then you decide to trust others and trust yourself that you will do your best and they will do their best, and then take time to work on being present at work, being focused at work, and being focused at rest and resting. And then once you have more of the time to rest and feeling like recuperating and physically recuperating, and then you have more like physical energy to have time for more thinking and reflection, maybe then you may think about other things. But until then, don't allow yourself to be in this constant stream of debates, negotiations, and being in control and all of these things, because it's too much for the brain to handle, and that's understandable. So that's why if you're going to be in the comfort zone, you may as well choose the comfortable part of the comfort zone of accepting you being there for whatever reasons, right? Accepting you being there, accepting that you are going to be there for this period of time that you chose and you decided for yourself, and staying there and being present there. And then once the deadline, your deadline is over, then you can start thinking about what you want to do and how you want to do something else. That way, my dears, you will not be creating for yourself an unbearable situation. Because if you just keep debating in your mind, keep debating in whether you should be here and you shouldn't be here and all of these things, and that you wish you were somewhere else, if you keep being in that situation, then you just keep exhausting yourself. You just keep depleting your own resources. If you want to like take the analogy, think about being in a relationship with someone. Imagine that you are in the relationship with someone and yet you keep like debating whether you want to stay with that person or not, whether this relationship has a future or not. If you keep doing that, then it will be so difficult to build that relationship. It will be so difficult to um, rest in that relationship, and it will be so difficult to even like nurture love and other feelings when you are not even clear on the fundamentals of it, right? So that's the same goes for the work. So think about what kind of relationship do you want to have with work? Do you want to have the relationship where it's so hustly, it's so hectic, it's so distrusting disbelief? Or do you want to have the relationship that, no, I will be doing this work for this period here and now. Here are the reasons that I'm going to do that. I like my reasons that I'm going to do that, and I will be present. I will own my decision of staying here and doing the work and committing to my decision until that deadline. And then once the deadline is over, then you can make a decision to go something to do something else. That way, you live your life being present in your life and being present for your work and doing the things. And it doesn't mean that you will not be having questions about whether this should be done this way, this should be done this way. You will always have a chance to improve and work on them, but the fundamental questions will no longer be bothering you. And then you will be in the comfortable position of the comfort zone rather than in the uncomfortable one. And remember, just because you are in the comfortable zone of comfort zone, it doesn't mean that you will not be wanting to leave afterwards, or so you have to be fighting, otherwise you won't be getting out of the situation. No, it's not the case, because think about it. You have been fighting for so long and you never left either. So there is a reason why you're doing it, right? And that reason is because you're not trusting yourself. The reason is not because you're not really trusting that you will be able to do something outside. So that's why before doing anything outside, use your comfortable, known, familiar situation to create the exact life and work situation that you want to. And then once you calm down your nervous system, once you rest, once you really work and create the results that you want to, once you start seeing how you can make a difference and all of this, and then once you are in that situation, once you put yourself in that powerful situation, then you realize that you actually have so many other options available. And maybe you just haven't explored that because you were feeling always like exhausted and feeling this in this uncomfortable situation and feeling powerless, when you could be actually looking at what other options do I want to have? What other options do I want to have? Do I really want to leave or not? And then making that decision from that rested, from that powerful position, rather than from fighting and resistant and exhausting position. Okay, my dears, I hope that you will try this out and you will decide for yourself that you can get yourself from this uncomfortable comfort zone, so called, to the comfortable comfort zone. And once you are there, then you can decide what to do next. If you want coaching on this or in any other topics that I cover, please come over to coach with me. I would love to accompany you through your journey of transitioning to whatever the area of your life or whatever the um, place you want to come to. And I would love to be of service for that. So have an amazing week, everyone. See you very soon.